Before there was warmth in the night, before there was light in the darkness, before humans could cook their food, forge their weapons, or survive the cold of winter, there was nothing. Just the dark, just the cold. And the gods on Olympus, looking down at the small, fragile creatures on Earth and deciding that things were better that way. One god disagreed. This is the story of Prometheus, the titan who loved humanity more than he feared the king of the gods, the one who stole the most powerful force in the universe and gave it away freely, and the one who paid a price so terrible, so endless, so deliberately cruel that it still stands as one of the most haunting punishments in all of mythology. Prometheus was not an Olympian. He was a titan, one of the ancient gods who had ruled the cosmos before Zeus and his siblings overthrew them. But unlike most of the titans, Prometheus had sided with Zeus during the war. He had seen which side was going to win and made his choice accordingly. He was clever that way. His name in ancient Greek literally means forethought, the ability to see what was coming before it arrived. His brother's name was Epimetheus, which means afterthought. The difference between the two brothers would define everything that followed. After the Olympians won the war and divided the world between them, Prometheus was given a task. He and his brother Epimetheus were asked to create the animals of the earth and give each one its gifts. Epimetheus went first, distributing abilities to every creature: speed to the deer, strength to the lion, shells to the turtle, wings to the eagle. By the time he reached humanity, he had nothing left to give. Every gift had already been distributed, so humans were left with nothing. No claws, no fur, no wings, no speed, no natural armor. They were the most defenseless creatures on the entire earth, small and slow and soft, shivering in the dark without even the ability to keep themselves warm through the night. Every other creature had something. Humanity had been forgotten. Prometheus looked at them and could not accept it. He went to Zeus and asked for fire, the sacred flame that the gods kept on Olympus, the force that gave warmth and light, and the ability to transform raw materials into tools and weapons and civilization itself. Zeus refused. He understood exactly what fire would mean for humanity. It would make them stronger. It would make them more capable. It would bring them one step closer to the gods themselves. And Zeus had no interest in sharing that kind of power with mortals. Humans were meant to be beneath the gods, dependent on them, powerless without them. That was the order of things, and Zeus intended to keep it that way. Prometheus went anyway. He climbed to the peak of Mount Olympus, stole a fragment of the sacred flame, and hid it inside a hollow fennel stalk. He carried it down from the mountain and gave it to humanity. And the world changed overnight. Humans learned to cook, to forge metal, to build fires that kept predators away in the darkness, to warm their homes through winter, to create light in the longest nights. They gathered around flames and told stories. They used heat to shape iron into tools and weapons. They built the foundations of everything that would come after. Civilization itself was born from that stolen flame. Zeus looked down from Olympus and saw what had happened, and he was furious in a way that none of the other gods had ever seen before. The punishment Zeus designed for Prometheus was not quick. It was not violent. It was not the kind of punishment that ends. It was the kind of punishment that Zeus clearly spent considerable time thinking about, crafting something specifically designed to inflict the maximum possible suffering over the longest possible time. He had Prometheus chained to a rock in the Caucasus Mountains, not bound with ordinary chains, but with unbreakable divine bonds that no force in existence could break. Prometheus was spread across the rock, unable to move, unable to escape, unable to do anything except exist and suffer. Every morning, an eagle descended from the sky. It was no ordinary bird. It was divine, enormous, relentless, sent specifically by Zeus to carry out the punishment. Every day the eagle landed on Prometheus and tore open his side. It ate his liver, slowly, completely. And every night, because Prometheus was immortal, his liver grew back. The next morning, the eagle returned, and it began again. This was not a punishment that lasted a week or a year or a century. This was a punishment designed to last forever. Every single day, the same agony. Every single night, the same recovery. just enough to be whole again for the pain to start once more the following morning. Chained to a rock on a mountain, exposed to burning sun and freezing cold, unable to move for eternity. And, through all of it, Prometheus did not break. He did not beg Zeus for forgiveness. He did not renounce what he had done. He did not express regret for stealing the fire or giving it to humanity. He held something that Zeus desperately wanted, a prophecy about which woman would give birth to a son who would one day overthrow the king of the gods. Prometheus knew, and he refused to tell. Even as the eagle came back day after day, even as he endured what no creature should ever have to endure, he kept that secret and used it as his only remaining source of defiance. There were those who came to visit him on the rock. The ocean nymph, Io, found him there, herself a victim of Zeus's cruelty, transformed into a cow and tormented across the world by a divine gadfly that never let her rest. She and Prometheus spoke of their shared suffering, two souls destroyed by the same god for reasons that had nothing to do with justice and everything to do with power. Io wept for him. Prometheus, even in his agony, told her that her suffering would one day end, that she would eventually be freed and restored. He used his gift of foresight to give her the one thing he could not give himself: hope. The god Hermes also came, sent by Zeus as a final attempt to break Prometheus through negotiation. He offered relief from the punishment in exchange for the prophecy. Prometheus refused with a calm that infuriated Hermes completely. He had already endured everything Zeus could throw at him. There was nothing left to threaten him with. A man who has faced the worst that exists and survived it intact cannot be threatened anymore. Prometheus had found a kind of terrible freedom in his chains, the freedom of someone who has already paid the highest price and has nothing left to lose. Thousands of years passed. Then Hercules came. Hercules, the greatest hero of the ancient world, the son of Zeus himself, was passing through the Caucasus Mountains during one of his famous labors. He saw the eagle descending toward the chained figure on the rock. He drew his bow and shot the eagle out of the sky. Then he broke the chains that had bound Prometheus for longer than most civilizations had existed and set him free. Zeus allowed it. Some say because he had finally accepted that the punishment had gone on long enough. Some say because Hercules was his favorite son and he could refuse him nothing. Some say because Zeus had finally heard the prophecy through other means and no longer needed to extract it from Prometheus directly. Whatever the reason, Prometheus walked free. After thousands of years of daily suffering, of the same wound and the same recovery and the same agony beginning again, it was over. But what had humanity gained from all of it? Everything. Fire was not just warmth. It was the beginning of metallurgy, which gave humans weapons and tools that changed the course of history. It was the foundation of cooking, which transformed the human diet and allowed the brain to develop in ways that raw food never could. It was the origin of every forge, every furnace, every engine, every technology that followed across thousands of years of human civilization. The Industrial Revolution, the age of electricity, the modern world, all of it traces back, in some way, to the moment Prometheus climbed a mountain and stole a flame. He gave humanity the spark that made everything else possible. And he paid for it with thousands of years of daily agony, chained to a mountain, torn apart and made whole, and torn apart again, refusing to break, refusing to regret, refusing to abandon the creatures he had chosen to protect, even when the most powerful being in existence was doing everything in his power to make him sorry. There are many stories in Greek mythology about gods and heroes and monsters. Most of them are about power, who has it, who wants it, what people will do to get it and keep it. The story of Prometheus is different. It is about someone who had the ability to see the future, who understood exactly what the consequences of his actions would be before he took them, and who chose to act anyway. Not out of foolishness, not out of ignorance, but because he looked at the cold, defenseless, shivering creatures on the earth below Olympus and decided that they deserved better than what the gods had given them. He knew what it would cost. He paid it anyway, and the fire is still burning.